when you feel like quitting. Have you been there? Maybe today. Have you had one of those days where you woke up, or better yet, maybe you didn't go to bed? You have a new baby. I'm going to go from recent experience, and recent experience to come again. That doesn't make sense to you, it does to me. I'm expecting. I have a baby boy who's 1.5 years, and then I'm expecting in, the end of December, 1st of January, and I know just a little bit what it's like to not sleep many hours. Here's a typical day. You get to bed so tired you can hardly see straight, and you just want to find your room and can't even find it, or don't feel you have the energy to walk up the stairs to get into your room, to go to your room. Then you know you need to be best undressed and be clean, but you think, oh, forget it. You lay down just to relax the minute you fall asleep with your clothes on. Have you ever been there? You just lay your head down and think, I'll lay here for just a moment, and you hear this screech. You get up, you go to the bedroom. There's your little baby. That's if you found the bedroom. You search room to room, realize where this cry is coming from. You pick the baby up and find a fevered brow. Was there just a week ago. Don't know what's wrong. Your heart just sinks. Baby's perspiring at 1 minute and the next minute burning up, crying fretfully, pulling his ears, doesn't want his milk. You change his pants. You give him a Tylenol. You hold him. You sponge bathe him when he hits about 103.4, 104. You start checking the temperature about every half hour. Then you have to give him the cool, wet bath. And you have to dry him off and just rock him, and he cries, and your patience is thin. And you're just so sluggish, and you don't feel like you're any kind of mother at all. Then your husband wakes up 4 hours later and says, is something wrong? Oh, no. Well, honey, can you get up and fix breakfast? Sure. You don't even know where the kitchen is. You get down to the kitchen. You find whatever you can find to realize you forgot to go to the store to get the milk. Can't make pancakes. Well, then I'll fix eggs. No eggs. That's all right, we'll have toast, no bread. Oh, goodness, what are we going to eat? Oh, there's one rotten peach and a piece of bologna. Could have that. You just heat the bologna up and slice the peach and take all the brown spots out. Sure, anyone can be encouraged over this, right? So you get your husband off to work on a sick stomach, and the kids come downstairs. Mama, I can't find my socks. They're in your drawer, son. Mama, I can't find my socks. Son, they're in your drawer. What drawer, Mama? The same drawer you've had for 12 years, the second drawer down on the left. No, Roy took all the socks in his drawer, I'm told. So Michael goes and borrows some socks from Roy's drawer. Roy had confiscated all the socks. Then Tina comes down and says, Mom, did you get my shoes from the shoe store? Today is the day of the big activity, and those are the shoes that I have to match my dress, the one I'm sending in. Oh, no. Oh, well, I'll bring them to school a little later. Oh, you promise you won't forget? Oh, no, I won't forget. I'll write it down. You write it down, you put it on the refrigerator, and you zip to get their breakfast, which is another quarter of the peach and the rest of the bologna and a glass of ice water, and you zip them off to school. And when you're on your way to school, you realize you don't have any gas. That's okay. Just stop and get some gas, but you don't have 5 minutes. Oh, that's okay. Just get some gas, and it'll work out. It'll work out. You stop, you look in your wallet, and the $10 bill's gone. Where's the $10 bill? Oh, Daddy said he needed $10, and he asked you that this morning. You said you had $10. Oh, no money for gas. Mom, I have money, says Tina. So the 16-year-old's paying for your gas. You put the gas in yourself because you're trying to be cheap at the pump. And I don't normally do that, but this is a fast day. You pump your own gas. You get back in the car, zip the kids to school. And as the boys are getting out, they say, I forgot my lunch. You forgot your lunch. Yes, and last week I forgot my lunch, and I brought a Joey a sandwich, and the teacher prefers I bring my own lunch. Oh, no. Well, I'll bring the lunches back when I go back to get the shoes, when I get the shoes to bring them to Tina. And in the meantime, Jason has a mess. He gets sick to his stomach. He'd already had the fever during the night. He throws up in the car. You're about to cry. Your hair's a mess. You didn't put your makeup on. The kids get out of the car. One gets his finger caught in the door. You undo the door. Let the kid out the door. This may sound like an over-exaggeration, but it's sometimes typical of a day in a housewife, just starting out. And then you have to run everything back to the kids, and the phone rings, and you burn the bacon, and everything else that goes on. And you get to the grocery store to find out that the sale that you were told was, they were running this big special on bacon. They don't have it anymore, and you want to have bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches for lunch that day. The kids were bringing home a friend, and you go through all the ritual and end up doing nothing right. Do you ever feel that way? Then your husband calls and says, guess what, I'm going home for lunch today. Oh, how do you act? Well, sure, it'll be ready. And you zip to the store to get the cheese and get the bread. You're out of butter. You get your groceries real fast. You zip back home, hurry to lunch. He walks in and says, I don't have 2 minutes. Okay, you hurry, put the lunch on the table, put the baby down for a nap, clean up the mess, and realize you didn't take the kids' lunches. Get in the car, take the kids' lunches, zip out to the school. This goes on, ladies, all over America. Oh, I imagine a lot of it has to do with pacing ourselves, maybe being disorganized. But a lot of it's just dwelling on the problems. Mrs. Colston told, and I think it was a tape a long time ago, something to the effect that when something goes wrong, like you spill the milk in the refrigerator, rather than getting all shook about it, wait till the kids go to school. It's not going to really go anywhere. It's just in the refrigerator. It's not going to move. Just leave it there. Shut the door. Just do remember to go back and get it, because it could get a little green and moldy and everything else. But even when I can do it, why wreck it for the kids? I think so often our kids, when they get all ready to go to school, out of an environment that's set by us so much, is a lasting effect on their minds throughout the day. Feel sorry for kids that leave in the morning, the last thing they hear their mom say is, if you forget your book one more time, I warn you. That's sad, isn't it? Or, why don't you put your shoes you can find, you dodo? Wow, why they say that? Have you done that? And the kids go to school all day long. Mama was upset at me. Mom was upset. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that this morning. And you're feeling the same way. It gets to be quite discouraging. The thing about it, I guess, to say is just don't ever quit. I'm hearing more and more and reading more and more some statistics, and it kind of throws me. More wives are leaving their husbands than husbands are leaving their wives. I guess Youre has a lot to do with it, and maybe the time this tape comes out, everything will change a bit. I wish it would never be either way, but it's sad. Many of the wives are told, you have equal rights. You lead. In fact, I heard in the news, I think it was last evening, something to the fact that this woman got I read it. I'm sorry, I read it in the paper last night. Kind of a sick column. Wish I even brought it to read it. It just made me sick about some lady who just got upset with her husband, so decided she'd run the things, took his checkbook. For some reason, I can't visualize me walking up to my husband and taking his checkbook and his credit cards. I can't visualize it. Okay, boy, hand him over. I just can't visualize me saying that to Roy Moffitt. Without him hitting me over a karate chop in the neck. She said, hand over the checkbook, hand over the checks, hand over the credit cards. I'll run things. She designed the work schedule for the day, what he was to do with chores at home. What cleaning chores he would do, what he was to do, what he was to say, more or less like as far as his rights at the home. And she'd go out and get her job, and they'd be equal. I don't believe that equal business. I believe give your all and you get it back. You really do, but you don't expect to say this 50-50 thing is a bunch of bologna sausage. It really is. Anyway, I read that article, and the lady, I think it was like a column, giving advice, and she explained, I agree with you, we should have equal rights. And I thought, whoa, what kind of a country where and here our children, they pattern their life right after yours. And then you wonder why you're so unhappy. Fighting for your rights will make you nothing but a miserable, miserable creature. You'll be miserable. To me, it's so exciting to be able to yield yourself and put yourself under someone and someone's will, and how much happier you are. But I'm finding this and reading this and seeing this, and I can't believe it. People I know get upset, can't take the pressures. So what do? Take off. Take off. Leave their kids, leave their homes. Do you realize what you've done? And then the reason they don't come back is because they regret it. They feel embarrassed. They feel like they've done something. Of course, they know they're wrong, and they're embarrassed to go back to face the husband, to face the children. So just why not do it? Just don't do it. Find ways to keep you from getting discouraged. That's what it is. Preacher has come out to this college at Howes Anderson, and we've heard him preach at First Baptist Church so many times, don't quit, don't quit. He even said remove it from your dictionaries. Take it out of your vocabulary. Don't even use the word. Don't even say it. Just don't even think it. So you think on these things, so you do it. You think on wrong, you do it. You sit around thinking, well, I don't see anything wrong with soap operas. Well, what if I just watch it one time? You end up doing it. Don't think on it. Don't turn the TV on for it. If you have something that you know would be beneficial and you've planned it, it's a different situation. But to me, the TV is something you can't hardly even watch anymore. There's just, even the news, it's just so biased, and language, everything. So don't do it. But there's something you shouldn't do, for sure, and that is don't quit. Here's in the House poem book, please pardon my poetry, there's a poem called Don't Quit. And I really do love it. He comes out to the college, as I stated a few minutes ago, I guess first semester, and gives us a talk on don't quit. Don't quit, don't quit. I will not quit. Maybe that's something you should be saying, something that you should be doing in your mind, saying, I will not quit. I'm gonna do it. Boy, this is great. Think on the good things. Think on the exciting things. Think on the things that are right instead of thinking on the bad things. But I love this poem, and let me just read it to you. First of all, there's kind of an introduction, how this poem came about in a sense. Pastor, I think I have taught my Sunday school class long enough. I think I should drop out of college and go back home. I think someone else could do a better job on my bus route than I can. My burdens are more than I can bear. I feel like turning back. These and other statements were told a preacher in 1 week's time that more or less caused him to hate the word quit more than ever. They also prompted him to instruct the college students to take scissors and cut the word quit out of their dictionaries, and out of all the dictionaries here on the school campus. After 30 years of preachers watching quitters and detesting quitters, the following lines were given to Brother Hiles. Maybe you've heard it before, maybe you haven't. But if not, I'm going to just quote the poem as best as I can. This is a poem by Dr. Jack Hiles. When the cup is turned to wormwood, and the wormwood turns to gall, when your walking turns to stumbling, and the stumbling to a fall, when you've climbed above the mountains, yet the Alps rise rough and tall, don't quit. When the path ahead is crooked, and the road's too rough to tread, when the best upon the table is replaced by sorrow's bread, when you've crossed some trouble's waters, and yet tomorrow's just ahead, this is in Exodus 15:16, don't quit. When the vultures have descended and disturbed your downy nest, when sweet fruit has changed to thistle, while the thorns disturb your rest, when a deep to deep is calling, and when failure seems your best, don't quit. When the Lord has cleansed the table, then he takes away the fat, and the best wine has been taken till you find an empty vat. When another fills the throne room where once you proudly sat, don't quit. When your health is feeling sickly, and the medicine tastes bad, when your fellowship is lonely, and your happiness is sad, when your warmth is getting colder, and in clouds your sun shines clad, don't quit. When you find your wins are losses, and that all your gains are lacks, when ill things never come along, and your troubles run in packs, when your soul is bruised and battered from the tempter's fierce attacks, don't quit. Be not weary in well-doing, for a due season brings the grain. He who on the Lord hath waited shall never run in vain. The just man falleth 7 times, yet rises up again. Don't quit. Boy, I like that. I guess it's something you can read every single day. I love that. Be not weary in well-doing, for a due season brings the grain. Never quit, especially when you're down or pulled or discouraged. Don't quit. I've read it so many times and kind of put it into my own words. It was never undo in doubt what you did in faith, or what you did when you wanted to do something you believed it was right. Don't undo it now when you're doubtful. Just in doubt. When you doubt, don't. That was something Brother Hiles told me years ago. It's when I first came to First Baptist. I was saved. I was involved in professional modeling, and that was years ago in the 60s. At that time, things were a little bit different, dress, everything. And I was involved in more or less like fashion shows and commentating and some TV work and things like this. And as I was saved and heard the preaching, and I was raised in a Catholic home, and I didn't know the things that were taught. I didn't know the Bible teaching. And as I heard the preaching, I began to come under conviction. And I just went to preacher one time, and I said, I just have a thought about something. What do you think about this? And just my tone, I know that he knew that I was doubtful of what I was doing. And he said, "Are you doubtful of it, JoJo?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "When in doubt, don't." And that's when I got out of modeling. I could just see my heart changing and my life, my thoughts and my convictions. And I didn't want any part of that life anymore. And I just thought, I'm doubtful of doing it, so I shouldn't be doing it. But a lot of times, if you know it's wrong, you don't do it. But be careful. I think a lot of times we undo things in doubt when we should be doing it, especially when it comes to Christian service and family ties. And I'll be getting to that as we go along. But I start thinking about this. I think it's just good. Just don't get discouraged. You say, "Oh, yeah, big deal. You can say that. You never get discouraged." Sure, I get pulled, but I try to transfer my thinking so fast so the devil doesn't even know what's going through my mind, and I don't tell it out loud, and I just get involved in something. Usually it's maybe scriptures, or maybe I'll start singing a song, or maybe I'll get my mind off and get busy in the house and just get my mind off the thing that discouraged me or pulled me. And I'll mention some things that can discourage us, some things that cause us to want to quit in just a few minutes. But you just can't let these things control our thoughts. I was reading here in a book my husband has about discouragement, and a thought in a verse in Matthew 13:13, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved." Just not letting things, hey, sure, people dislike you and cause you grief and make heartache, but just hang on to the very end. Don't let things get you down. The devil, according to legend, once advertised his tools for sale at public auction. When the prospective buyers assembled, there was one oddly shaped tool which was labeled "not for sale." Asked to explain why this was, the devil answered, "I can spare my other tools, but I cannot spare this one. It is the most useful implement that I have. It's called discouragement, and with it I can work my way into hearts otherwise inaccessible. When I get this tool into a man's heart, the way is open to plant anything there I may desire." I like that. People say, "Yeah, but people who are discouraged, they end up getting a gun and shooting themselves." Oh, I guess they draw it long enough, they might think stupid things and crazy things. You don't think on things like this, you're letting the devil get way into your heart, you're going to do wrong. But this is interesting. Abraham Lincoln, many years ago, this is something that was on his depression. Many years ago, a young Midwestern lawyer suffered such deep depression, his friends thought it would be wise to keep all knives and razors from him. During this time he wrote, "I am now the most miserable man living," because he said it out loud. It's just like walking around saying, "I'm discouraged. I'm discouraged. I'm discouraged." Well, why wouldn't you be? Think on it, say it. Sure, you'll be discouraged. You'll pull everybody around you with you, too. It is contagious, your actions, your attitudes. "Whether I shall ever be better, I cannot tell." Here's this man still talking. "I don't know. I awfully forebode I shall not." In other words, he says, "I guess I'll never be better." But he was wrong. He did recover and went on to become America's most loved president, Abraham Lincoln. He went through the depression time, but sure didn't get the victory in his life. I like that. I appreciate that. That encourages me. I hope it encourages you. Don't let depression get a hold of you. You're the one that's a loser, and you help the people around you to be losers too. That's what's so sad about it. But I started thinking about some things, and I believe this. It's sad, but it's true. Women are pulled easy. They really are. I think they're discouraged easier than men. Maybe it's because we're made up so sweet, sweet and kind and loving and gentle and sweet, tender hearts and just giving people. Oh, brother. I'd rather think I'm that than think I'm a bad girl. But I think we're made up of so much of emotions that emotions capture us. They captivate us. In other words, something goes wrong emotionally, it just ruins us. There are people I know that I could just say to them, "Are you feeling okay?" and they're ruined because they had a headache that morning. You can't think on these things. You have to reverse it and say, "Hey, I'm okay." Make light of it. Make light of it. Say, "Yeah, boy, don't I look good? I'm pregnant. I really look good. I'm 5 months, and you feel like a Buana elephant right now." But I make the best of it. Toward the end of my pregnancy, I guess, could have been one of the most discouraging times if I let it. You feel so big, you're uncomfortable, and I can remember how people would come up to me, especially at church, not being unkind. They said, "Didn't you have the baby yet?" And I think, look at me. What do they mean? Did I have the baby? But they think I had a pillow, that I was wearing around, and you want to be ugly. And I thought, how silly. how silly to let something like that capture my thinking. And I'd say, yep, I guess it was twins and one's still not ready. Or I'd just make some kind of stupid statements to them, And they'd laugh. Or I'd say, not yet, another 4 months. And they'd say, really? I'd say, oh, yes, I have 14-month pregnancies. They'd say, really? I said, oh, yes. And I'd go on my way and laugh, make a joke out of it. Or they'd say something like this, are you sure? This happened to me last week, funniest thing. This baby, I'm being maybe a little bit more careful, I don't know, but not gaining much. I only gained 33 with my first and 63 with my second, 83 with my third, and 29 and a half with my fourth. So I'm not trying to set any records, but Guinness has contacted me many times, the Guinness Book of Records. Not really. But I just wanted to watch when I'm eating, more so this time. I'm 36. I know I look like I'm just 19, but I am 36, and I want to watch my weight. I want to get back to normal quick. And so last week I went to the doctor, and she said, boy, you're small, you're little. And I thought, oh, is that bad? Or is that good? You know how you let people really infiltrate your thinking. And then the nurse couldn't get the heartbeat. And oh, my heartbeat was, I thought, the baby's heartbeat. The baby's heartbeat's very fast, very quick beat. And I thought it was my beat when they finally picked it up. But they did get it, but it took 10 minutes. They were too high, and they went a little lower with a little, this monitor, whatever they use, and they got the heartbeat. And it was working in my mind. That's the devil, too, by the way. And I started thinking, boy, I hope everything's okay, and I'm small. And then I went to church Wednesday night. That was Tuesday. And Wednesday I went to church, and a couple people said, when are you due? And I said, oh, the end of December, 1st of January. And they said, boy, you sure are little. I said, oh, really? But I wasn't realize what was happening to me. And I went on, and someone else was saying to me, well, when's your baby due? And I'd say, in December. And they said, oh, I am too. They were much bigger than me. How much weight have you gained? I said, I lost 1 pound this month. They said, you lost? Have you talked to your doctor? I thought, oh, man, something's wrong. I went to the doctor yesterday. I'm sure I was gloomy. I walked in and they took my blood pressure. It was okay. And I said, hi, it's good to see you. I didn't realize what happened to me. And then I went and had my weight. And she said, oh, you lost 1 pound. I said, is that bad? She says, not really. I said, oh, really? She said, oh, some people lose. I said, really? Sure. Well, I failed to tell them that I had a little intestinal problem the day before. And I guess I lost a lot of water weight from just eating too much watermelon. It's supposed to be good for you, but it's not for me. I don't think I'll ever eat watermelon again. I got real sick from it. I didn't eat too much, just a piece of watermelon, but this happened before. I guess that's my cue now. Do not eat watermelon. Well, I lost weight. I'd probably been just fine. I'd probably gained 1 pound or so. So I went to the doctor in his office, and the nurse was there. I said, I sure hope you can find the heartbeat. She looked at me because I'm never that way. She said, why, is something wrong? I said, oh, no, not much. So they picked the heartbeat up right away. I said, try it a little lower and see if you get it there, too. And the beat got a little louder. And I said, that is the baby's beat. She says, ma'am, your heart doesn't beat that fast. I said, oh. And my spirit started changing. And the doctor walked in and said, are you feeling okay? And I said, why, do I look sick? She says, no, the nurse said you just weren't yourself. And I realized, good night. Here I was letting people influence me. Sometimes I think we're going to have to forget people and their comments. You can make good comments and you build people, but don't let people's comments affect you. If anything, turn them into something funny and something cute. Or let it go in one ear and out the other. But don't dwell on it. Take your doctor's advice. Here I walk out of the office and here's what she says to me. You are in perfect condition. Oh, thank you. Kind of cocky as I tripped out the door. I grabbed my little chart and walked out. I said, I'm in perfect shape. My spirit changed 99.6, all because of people's comments. Yes, we're pulled very easy. But the thing about it is, it's not so sad there as it is the fact that when I was at home, I wonder if I had influenced those little kids. Boy, I hope not. I hadn't thought on it a lot. I think I thought on it more so Wednesday after church, thinking on the comments. They weren't mean. They weren't unkind. I just let them control my thoughts the wrong way. And then as the came time near to see the doctor, of course I thought on it. But oh, how that made me think and maybe just alert to what in the world I was doing. Usually we want to quit also when we're worn and tired. I'm going to list some things that I wrote down when it happens, results, as we go along in the tape. But I started thinking about this. Did you ever realize that when you really want to quit is when you're nothing more than worn out? You're just tired. Maybe you overloaded the circuits, is a title I put on. You just put too much on yourself for the day. You didn't see yourself accomplish anything you thought because you had 18 things to do and only got 16 done and thought you were a flop. How silly. You did something good, and you need to look at it that way. But we get ourselves worn out. You run a full course all day long. You maybe neglect your meals. Maybe didn't sleep well the night before. You run a hard pace. Go into the evening, about 9, 10 at night, you become a little irritable. And then you start thinking on things, and people start calling you about 9 o'clock and ask you to do things. And you say, I'm doing so much already. Don't they even know what they're... And you start really letting the devil work. And that's what it is. You're worn out. You're tired. You say, let somebody else do it. I don't think the Lord had that in mind. He has something for each of us to do. And it surely isn't to give up something we're supposed to be doing where we are serving and doing something useful and busy. I think it's important to give, like this maybe, a time when we could really give up and the devil would get the most useful thing would be when we're doing something for the Lord. Something like a bus route. Something like a Sunday school class. Boy, the devil would like to get you there. Sure, he'd like to get you at the home. He'd like to get you at the work. He'd like to get you in the neighborhood. And he'll try to. But sometimes he'd really like to nip you some Christian service. Here it takes you so long to get involved. Then when you get involved, you get uninvolved. It's so silly because of just different excuses sometimes. It concerns me. It really does. I found some verses that I think might help you. And I know it'll help me. First is Corinthians, and this is in the 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. That's one there. I love that. I love this. This is also in Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians 16:13. Watch ye, stand fast in faith. Quit ye like men, be strong. In other words, hey, watch, stand fast in the faith. Don't you dare quit, you be strong. That's the Bible. But I love this, because this is where it all stems from. Ephesians 6, verse 10 and 11. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And that's exactly what it is. The Lord has given us an armor to put on, but we don't. We let the devil take hold, and we do have someone to help us, but we never even ask him. Just try to fight him ourselves. We fight with our own power, our own will, and end up being the losers. I think if we can just do this, rejoice evermore, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Think about this as you're serving on a Sunday, a Saturday and Sunday on a bus route, or in a Sunday school class, or planning an activity for your visitation teams, or planning a youth activity, or working with the teenagers. Rejoice evermore. Boy, that right there just means a lot. Rejoice evermore. Rejoice evermore. Rejoice evermore. There's so much good to rejoice in, but boy, the devil would sure like to say rejoice. Never. So it goes on, and everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Quench not the spirit, despise not prophecies. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Abstain from all appearance of evil, and the very God of peace sanctify you wholly. And I pray, God, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Faithful is he that calleth you, who also will do it. Go ahead and do it. So now you have to start saying to yourself, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. With the Lord's help, I can do it. With the Lord's help, I can do it. Pull some of these verses. Seriously, look them up. 1 Corinthians 6:13. Look them up and memorize them. 1 Corinthians 15:58. I love Ephesians 6:10 and 11 about putting on the whole armor of God. And then also the last one I quoted was in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 24. I guess that's the whole thing. Don't get discouraged. How about let's get encouraged? I think that might help. But here are some of the things I just jotted down, some thoughts I had. Get busy. Never quit. You say, well, I am busy, but you're busy in the wrong things. My husband made a comment the other day. Someone called him, and this is, I think, a cop-out of many people. They'll say, I'm just so busy. Sometimes I think we're too busy in the wrong things. We should be busy in the right things. It's not wrong to be involved in a bus route, provided, of course, you're not neglecting your home and your family. It's not wrong, and you can make time for these things, too. I think it's just cop-outs we use. We try to say, but I'm so busy. I've got this and this and this to do. If we can pace ourselves in such a way, and you say, well, I don't know what to do, find somebody who's doing it and get some suggestions, get some counsel, go to your preacher. If you're having some real problems, don't quit things. I'm finding more and more, especially the bus ministry, maybe because I'm involved in that so much. But the bus ministry is hard work. I think every part of Christian service is hard work, and you give your all to it. Not in the sense of saying, oh, it's so hard, I can't do it. Oh, I'm so oh, that's a bunch of holy real. You're not that busy. Getting busy in the right things. If someone calls you and needs emergency help, and you say, well, right now I'm too busy, you're too busy. There are times you just have to know and pace yourself to know and have enough discernment to know what is an emergency, such as if a person calls me to talk in the evening, I'll say, is this an emergency? And they'll say, well, it's concerning my dog. It ran over the neighbor's yard today. And the neighbor, I'll say, oh, boy, I really want to help you. Can you call me back about 8:30 tonight? Right now I'm with my children. And sure, they'll respect you greater, really, I think, than to say, well, sure, and you spend your whole evening on the phone, and then someone else calls, and you spend with them, and in the meantime, your kids aren't getting their homework done, you're not having your devotions, you're not having a fun time with your children, you're not straightening up the house, you're spending your time helping others. Well, there's something wrong. Maybe you need someone to give you some guidance. Doesn't mean you quit doing that, but you just need to know what your priorities are and adjust them. And that way you can do the things that you need to do to the best of your ability. But I just want to jot these things down. Get busy. Most people that are discouraged people, most people that are quitters, a lot of them, is just the idea they're either not busy or busy in the wrong things. But let's do this, or say this. When does it happen, really, that we just want to quit? I mentioned earlier that's when we're worn or tired, but a lot of little things I just jotted down. I think a lot of times it's when we just think on our own problems too much. We dwell on ourselves too much. We dwell on our own things too much. Instead of finding solutions, such as I mentioned earlier about spilled milk, you can make yourself discouraged and a day ruined over that. You know that's true. Or the dog messing on the rug. Just a little mess. He tore up a shoe. He said, oh, he ruined my carpet. Just a muddy shoe, it'll dry and you clean it up. He chewed up your husband's brand new shoe. So what? He can wear sandals. You can make light of it. No, you can't. He can't wear sandals, but just to make light of it, you can't change it. So you can't put that shoe back together. It'll teach us to put our shoes up, maybe other shoes up. Make light of it. Many people, honestly, have it much worse than we do. We think our problem is a toothache. A lot of people wish they had teeth. You can go through things like this in your mind. A lot of people who are in the hospitals wish they could have a toothache, who are dying of cancer. There are so many different situations that I can think of like that. We just dwell on it so much. Well, my baby has an earache. Oh, yeah? Why don't you come up to Children's Memorial with me and see children who were born without ears? Or a little boy I saw there just a couple of weeks ago when I was up there visiting, and I saw a little boy whose head, his eyes were on the side of his head, and his nose in such a deformity. But what a cute spirit and a funny little personality. Kind of made the difference. I didn't hardly even want to notice the deformities. He's probably a happier boy than some of us. He didn't know he had a problem. He was going around cheering up the other kids, and he was worse off than they were. He didn't know it. Don't know you have problems. Try to find solutions to them. Don't dwell on them. Do the best you can, and then forget it. Try to think of all the good that's happened to you. Make big of all the good that's happened to you. Such as if you had something happen to you recently that was really good. What's something happened to you? Nothing. I think your mind's in the wrong area. Something has happened to you good. Maybe someone sent you a card. Oh, big deal. That's what I mean. These are just the little things. Make big of them. I had a birthday a couple weeks ago. I received, my several birthday cards. And yesterday was such a blessing. My sister Sheila, I hadn't heard from her, and I wasn't thinking badly of her, but she just got busy and forgot. She sent me a belated birthday card. I was just like having another birthday. She sent me a beautiful bouquet of mixed flowers and daisies and carnations and all kinds of flowers. I was like a little kid yesterday. Well, I just didn't say, oh, that's nice. No, her card, I didn't open up for about 3 hours. I guess it was later. You say, how silly. No, I knew it was a birthday card. I saw who it was from. I knew she was writing me because the flowers came just, I think it was the day before yesterday. I take that back. The card came yesterday. I was elated. The flowers. Didn't even expect the card. Didn't even expect the flowers. Boy, I had something to look forward to. So, boy, Monday, or Sunday, and whatever it was the day they came, I was elated about the flowers and so excited about the flowers. And then when I got the birthday card, I didn't expect that. I didn't want to open it. I wanted it to be special. You say, how stupid. No, I planned something special yesterday, so I had something to look forward to. When I went for my doctor's appointment yesterday to the obstetrician, I opened it there like a little kid and read her 2-page letter she typed for me. I got excited about that. To me, that was something good. Then I went home and looked at her flowers and just loved her and thought about her. Maybe your big thing of the day is going out to the mailbox. You say, oh, big deal. Listen, probably if I gave you a free trip to Hawaii, it would be a big deal. You're wanting too many big things. You just need to be happy at the little things and realize you're missing so much of just the little things we just take for granted instead of finding joy in them and finding victory in the things that we received. I was so excited. In fact, I played a joke with my husband about those flowers. I thought it was really cute. I thanked him for sending me the flowers. I didn't show him the card. He came home from work, and I said, thank you so much. He says, oh, for what? And I said, the flowers. He saw the flowers on the table, and he said, you're welcome. It was so funny. I guess he thought someone sent them for him. And I thought it was such a cute little joke. I had a little fun out of these flowers. And so I was telling him, I said, boy, that was nice. You just sent me the flowers. And he said, what did the card say? I said, oh, it just said, I love you. You're the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me. He said, did it come to you? And I said, well, honey, who else would you have sent them to? He says, oh, you're right, I know. And I was getting tickled over these flowers. He kept this going all day, and then that evening he said to me, who sent the flowers? I said, Roy, you're trying to be funny, but you're really not being funny. You sent the flowers. He said, yeah. Who sent the flowers? Oh, I had more fun on those flowers. See, I find things to have fun with. I finally told him my sister sent them. And then today I was watering them and making big of them again, getting ready to come out here and still appreciating my brand new flowers. And they still are beautiful. And I took a couple of them and gave them to my neighbor, the kids next door, and I got a blessing out of that to share them. Then the baby pulled a few out and ate them, and there was a blessing out of that. He tried to eat a few daisies and had to take them out of his mouth. And there's been a lot of blessings out of these flowers. Make big of it. You can make big of going to the mailbox. You say, oh, really? Sure. Just plan it. Say, boy, at 3 o'clock today, sometime in the middle of your day, toward the end of the day, whatever, I'm going to go out to the mailbox. At that time, you fix your hair again, you put your makeup on, you get yourself just in good shape and walk outside and talk to your neighbors and pet the dog or bite the dog, whatever you have to do to get your dog to respond, and have a big time. Wave to a couple cars, whatever, and walk back to the house. Sit on your front porch and read your mail. Just do something that excites you. Maybe it's taking out the garbage. I don't know what yours is. Mine is just even like taking the baby for a walk. I enjoy that. Just to walk around the block in this little umbrella stroller, I push him and observe the flowers and watch people who's maybe they're painting their lawn. They're painting their lawns. Some paint their lawns too. Paint their houses, or I'll watch someone mow their lawn and get excited about that. It's just how you look at it. It really is. Maybe it's just to go help somebody. Maybe somebody having a problem. But it really does. It happens when you think on our own problems. I think of my neighbor, one side. The mother just had a complete hysterectomy and has had some real difficulties with recuperating. Boy, how she appreciated that visit we had with her. On the other side, we had some pies and made them and sent over to one neighbor, and how much she appreciated that. I got a blessing out of that. One I know is having financial problems. The other one's having health problems. One just moved in, doesn't feel like they know anybody. That's problems to them. They're fearful. They're Filipino and Chinese people, and maybe they don't feel like they fit in exactly right at first when they come here to America. And we've tried to make them feel a bit welcome. And boy, how you just kind of forget everything when you go do something for someone else. Go to the hospital. You think you're having it rough. Go to the hospital and see some people who are having it rough with probably better spirits than you. Went to the hospital last week to see a lady, and when I came out of there, I felt so cheered up. It was unreal. She was listening to the Bible on tapes. I guess it was a bigger joy as this lady was so critical of our church and the Christian life in general just about 2 years ago, and she's been saved since then. And I mean, a change in personality. And this lady's sick. I mean, sick, very ill, and has even some functions not working normal in her body. And yet she goes on, has had major surgery, I guess about 6 times, I think they said. She's in her 70s, and she should be discouraged. She was bragging on her tapes and bragging on the nurses and how the service was and how she was able to encourage a nurse and how she was able to witness to a nurse. Boy, I felt like I was having the problems and she was encouraging me when I went to encourage her. Maybe it's just a phone call. To call somebody, go get a prayer sheet like we have on Wednesday nights or however, call the church, whatever your church, how it operates. Call and find out who's in the hospital. Get the number of that hospital and call some people in the hospital. Just call them. You don't have to know them. Just say, hi, I'm from First Baptist Church, and I saw your name in the bulletin. I thought I'd call you and just tell you I was praying for you. And, boy, I trust you're having a good day, and I pray everything's going to be okay. And I want you to know that. I do care about you. It's been good talking to you. Just something like that. If they want to talk, you'll know. Someone who has a baby, call them. It's amazing how you can just be encouraged through doing this. Bake a cake. And surely anyone could pray for somebody. How simple that would be if we do it. That's how you get yourself off your own problems. I mentioned earlier, eliminate the word quit from your vocabulary. Never say it. Never think on it. When you catch yourself saying it, smack your mouth. Or better yet, do what my mom used to do to me. She'd get a bar of soap. She'd wet it. She'd rub my tongue. Or brush my teeth. Doesn't taste very good. Last several hours. I don't know how it offends anyone else, but I know it offended me. Just to smell soap on me. Just find a way so you don't have to say the word or think on, oh, I'm going to quit. Don't even think it. Don't even say it. Cut it out. Knock it out of your vocabulary. But when does it happen that you want to quit? I mentioned a few minutes ago, but overloaded circuits. What I mean by that is you take on too much. I found out that if you'll just take what you have to do and write it down on a little piece of paper and start the priorities first and start going through your day and start jotting down. Number one, get up. That's always good. No, such as you have to pay a bill. That's a vital thing. It has to be paid today, the gas bill. Write it down. Number two, I have to go order some flowers for the neighbor. Number three, I have to go drop off the dry cleaning. Number four, I have to do the laundry. Number five, I have to take the baby for a checkup. Number six, and you decide, just write them all down, then jot alongside of them which are the priorities. Priorities, number one, number two, number three, whatever. Just jot them down. Or jot them down, put them in order. And as you do the jobs, cross through them. This may seem like such a simplified thing, but boy, it's helpful. Because you won't overload your circuits or feel like you've overloaded your circuits. And if you've taken on too much, you've jotted down the priorities, you're going to do the first things first. And then look at them and say, I did that. Praise the Lord, I did that. And it's done. It's finished. Such as laundry. That would be kind of a priority, especially if you're to the bottom. I'd be real wise to get that done first. If you say, well, I'll take the dog to the vet first, that isn't as necessary. If you saw my dog, it would be. No, I think he could last another day, but the clothes would be important. Judge what are the priorities. If your husband asks you to do something, do that first thing. Don't let anything interfere with that. Do what your husband asks you to do and get it done. Jot through it or scratch through it or start or whatever you have to do. And say, I did that. Praise the Lord. But don't overload your circuits. You know how much you can take. Such as I knew today I was making 2 tapes. I knew I had an appointment at the college with the administration this morning. I also knew that I had to do my normal chores this morning at home with the baby and all. And so I had a doctor's appointment too today. There's no way. Oh, sure, there would be a way, but I'd be so frustrated when I knew the best thing to do would be to divide it up. So I made the doctor's appointment yesterday. I transferred it to yesterday. It was a good feeling today. I was able to do everything at a normal pace. I didn't feel so rushed. What I would have done is come to the college after doing my morning work, doing breakfast dishes, getting the baby situated, bathed, just, the normal routine. Get that all done, rush to the college, hurry here, have my meeting, hurry over to the doctor's office, come back here wondering if the doctor will be in. The doctor may have to leave for deliveries. You're under a pressure. Then you think, oh, my, I have to get the tapes done, and I've got Brother Greg Dolan here waiting on me, and, oh, my, am I going to get back? And then you're all frustrated, and you rush home, and you miss supper, and the kids are hungry. Good night. Don't overload the circuits. Just kind of schedule it different. Especially you can look at your schedule, write down the things for the week. Maybe you can do it that way. And just maybe make yourself a calendar. I think is the best thing to do. And each day, write down what you have to do for that day and don't overload it. Just don't overload your circuits. I think that's very, very important. Because the thing is, what does it cause? Pressure, sickness. I believe that. I believe people that overload their circuits, they get all discouraged, they feel like quitting, and they get themselves so run down that they actually burn their system out to where they end up sick. And then what good are you to anybody? Really? What good are you then? You can't take care. Sure, that's what it causes is sickness or problems with your health, but then you can't function like you need to function. You have to have good health in order to function as you should. It interferes with you doing the things you need to do. I know this. I say often, sure, I can talk into a microphone, but with an unhealthy body, my mind doesn't even seem to work right. We need our health so much. Try to prevent this. Also, I think it causes backsliding. Causes you to go back from anything you were doing before. All because of pressures. All because you got discouraged. It's going to cause you to backslide. Sure, quit. Quit. Go ahead, quit. Here you ride a bus route, and you're needful on that bus route, and you're helping kids, and you're seeing lives change, and you may not see it, but it's the fact that you're there, you are influencing lives. And you just quit. So some kids will quit. Maybe it's not right for them to follow you, but they will, and they'll quit. And you find that, well, maybe I can't run the bus route. Maybe I shouldn't be going to Women's Missionary Circle either. So you get out of contact with your friends. You start palling around with the neighbors. You start finding the neighbors going places you didn't normally go before. They call it a card party, but I won't participate. Well, if you go, you participated. And it's wrong. You start going back. You start doing what you used to do. Why have it happen? Just don't quit. A lot of times, I think, what happens too is when we let things happen, we'll let it affect our unsaved relatives. You say, well, what do you mean by that? Yeah, go ahead, quit. Who's it going to affect? How about unsaved relatives? People that are watching you. People that say they don't understand what you're doing anyway, and they don't understand what salvation's all about. And the only thing they know about Christianity is your walk and your talk, your actions. So quit and let them just say, see? Too much for you, wasn't it? Couldn't take it. Boy, you never did that before when you were in our church. Or before you were this so-called Christian or saved person, you sure had good health. Not much of a testimony. It really isn't. Not at all. I found this also. When you let things affect you, you can be affected a lot by peer pressures. In other words, I think you just want to fail to live right. This is a lot of a cause of quitting. Peer pressures. It happens, it really does. People around you watching you. And this happens with teenagers especially. You take a stand for the Lord, and you start going to soul winning, and then you start having the kids kind of harass you a little bit. You go soul winning, well, we don't. You start going to your youth meetings and your youth activities, and you end up quitting. Well, you can't live right much like that. You start going back to the old life and the old ways. Don't let the problems come. When the problems, if they do come, by the way, a lot of our problems we create ourselves. I really believe that. By thinking on them and dwelling on them until we create a problem. Just when you get under the pressures, find solutions to the problems as best as possible, but don't get discouraged. If you find yourself there, get up quick. Get up before you even know you've been knocked down. I think this might be one of the things that might help you. Be known as an up person. A person that people like to be around. A person that picks people up, lifts them up. There was I guess it was a poem that I read. I think it was one of Bill Harvey's poems I was reading this morning. And I think at the end he stated something like this about happiness. His poem was on happiness. I can't remember if it was Brother Howells or Bill Harvey, but I think it was Bill Harvey's poem. And at the end it said, happiness is where you are. The same thing is sadness or discouragement. Quitting is where you are, quitter. I don't want you to call me a quitter. I want to say, hey, there's an encourager. There's a happy person. There's an up person. Trying to realize happiness is where you are. And there's a verse on that. I'm going through, in fact, today I was going through many of the different verses at home this morning and then this afternoon. And this verse to me is just so special. 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. It's not in vain. Everything you do is for a purpose, and it's for good, and it's not in vain. And then just to go back to something else I was thinking about. Oh, I know something I was going to mention that was on my mind. Someone asked me the other day, this is something I started mentioning a couple minutes ago, I think it's something else. Do you know what really causes us to quit a lot of times too is when we'll just feel like a failure. You actually feel like a failure. And one thing I know that happened to me a long time ago that made me feel like it, in fact I'm making a tape on it tomorrow about it, is about weight, is dieting. There's so many things that can cause you to feel like a failure just by not getting everything done in a day's time, and you put the tag failure on yourself. Nobody else did. You're not a failure. Remember, write it down and see yourself accomplishing, and then say, hey, I did that. Praise the Lord, I did that. You're not a failure. You are not a failure. So don't quit. But we feel like a failure many times. And why? Even because we try something, we don't succeed. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, first of all. You do your best. There's a statement, too. You do your best, God will do the rest. But it's true. Do your best. And if you don't succeed, go another way to try to do it. But I know one thing I tried, and I felt like a failure, was in dieting. I had this friend of mine that lost all these pounds in so many days. Well, I thought, boy, I'm going to do it. I can do it, too. I'm going to go on this crash diet and do what she said, and boy, I'm going to get it, too, and I'm going to lose, like 50 pounds or 60 pounds, whatever it was. And I didn't take the weight off like she did. And I couldn't believe how it affected me. I felt like a flop. I felt like the biggest pig in the whole world. I felt like fatty 2x4. And I really did. I just was just a big old person, I felt like. And what it was is I just didn't take it at my own pace, my own speed. And someone can determine that. Maybe you can't. But someone can help you. Get counsel from this and find out what are your limitations. How far can you go? How fast can you move? So you don't go so fast that you feel like you're going to fall. Get someone to help you. But on that diet, I helped a lady recently with the same diet. And I told her how I had gone through it. And I took it slowly. And the fact that if I can lose a pound a month, at least that's 12 pounds a year more than I would have if I hadn't tried. And she took that as a challenge to her, and she said she was going to lose 2 pounds a month. And I think she said now in the past 9 months she's lost like 18 to 20 pounds. Boy, she was excited. And some lady sitting right next to us at a ball game said, that's all? And I said, that's all. Isn't that great? And she said to me, that's all. That's great. She said, let me tell you. She said, that's weight I never would have lost if I hadn't just taken 2 pounds. She said to the lady, she says, have you ever tried to go on a diet? The lady was a toothpick. The lady said, no. She said, well, it's exciting. But you should try to put some on the same way I took it off. We just laughed at the lady and made light of it. But she at least tried. Had to go a different way. But see, if she had gone the way others had told her, she would have fallen. But she just went different directions till she found a way. There is a way. And the thing about it is, you do what you want to do, and you say, I'm going to quit. And here are some of the results. First of all, you are the loser. You are the loser. You're going to take people along with you who take you and put you up as their example. You will. You say, well, if I quit this, it's not going to affect anybody. No, first of all, you're in a downtime. Don't be in the downtime. Get out of it. Get yourself out of it. Do something for somebody. Pull yourself out of it. Get yourself involved with OTHERS, not SELF. Get yourself involved. Get help from the preacher if you need it, but don't quit. Because you're going to set the wrong example for people that are watching you. Nobody's watching me. Oh, yeah? Yes, they are. We have people, everybody, I think, watches somebody. Somebody's. And you're one of those somebodies. Be a right example. Wherever you walk, wherever you go, do your job to the best of your ability. Also, I think it causes us to have unsolved problems. There's nothing worse than going to sleep wondering about something. It's unsolved. You want solutions to your problems, and there are solutions. And again, take the whole armor of God, put it on, fight that stinking, rotten, no good for nothing devil. Just fight him, fight him, fight him. And you will be the victor, you really will. And you'll get solutions to your problems. I think a lot of times, too, you have these things happen to you. You don't realize it's happening. You say, well, it's not going to cause any problems in my home. You quit and you start causing problems in homes. You start quitting, you find you have broken dreams, broken promises, broken homes. You're the loser. I don't want to be a loser. I want to be a winner. Also, I think, and you say, well, I'm just so blue and depressed. Yeah, that's one of the results. Blue and depressed. I think when you lack self-confidence or maybe insecurity, I think might cause is why we get so an attitude of wanting to quit. You are somebody. You're a special person. You ask God to give you the confidence that you need to do the things that you need to do, to realize you have a security in Jesus Christ. You don't have to worry. You don't have to be afraid. I found this being blue and depressed, there's not much life. There's not much joy. People don't want to be around you, do they? I know they don't want to be around me. And I don't want to be around me either. It seems like when I'm having a hard day, the person I dislike the most is me. So why not we try to be up and excited? Brother Howells wrote a poem, too, that I like really a lot, and I'm just going to share it with you, is on happiness. And And I do like this because I think it's something that we just would take care of so much of our problems. For us to be happy in the Lord and to realize what we have and what to be grateful for. And that's what I think you need to do today. You're sitting there all blue and depressed and feeling sorry for yourself. What I want you to do is just turn around and realize that there's something good, there's something sweet, there's something special. He says how he was preaching for a couple of days in Rosemont, Minnesota. He was sitting in a little porch outside his room when he saw a beautiful leaf blown by the wind. He decided to catch the leaf. He got up quickly and made a pursuit. By the time he went to grab it, it seemed to laugh at him and jump a little further. It would lie still, coyly, as if as long as I did not pursue it. The minute he came toward it, it seemed to laugh again and flew in my grasp. I began to laugh with it, and then suddenly I realized the silly thing I was doing, and yet how delightful it was. It was a beautiful day. There was a crisp breeze, a bright sunshine mingled with autumn freshness. I began to think of the simple, commonplace things that give us delight. And he wrote this poem. I don't have time to read it all, but it just tells about Brother Howes and how he went afield looking and seek for bliss. Alas, 'twas true, I sought amiss. The lesson that I learned is this: at home is found true happiness. And I think it's so true. We go searching everywhere. We go looking everywhere. You start looking in money. You start looking in food. You start looking in clothes. You start looking in excitement and activities and social activities when happiness is right there with you. I beg you, don't let the things of the world captivate you. Get involved in some Christian service. Get involved in some other people. Take your life and just give it to the Lord. If you're involved in the Sunday school class, beg God to give you a freshness and a desire to do what you're supposed to do, or that Sunday school class, or that youth activity, or working with special people, whatever you do. Or if you're not involved, go find someone. Go find your assistant pastor, your preacher, and ask them to get you involved. Learn to live for somebody else. Get your mind off yourself. But just remember this, it's so, so special. You need not seek your bliss afar, for happiness is where you are. So what do you feel? What do you do when you feel like quitting? Don't quit.